Hello everybody, welcome to our little show, How to Draw and Paint. And today I want to speak a bit more about painting, not so much about drawing, and we will paint something. And what are the topics we will discuss today? Well, actually I'm planning about two topics. First topic is inspiration, and the second one is coating. So what do I mean with inspiration? You are inspired sometimes to paint something, and the inspiration could be kind of everything. For example, it could be a painting of an old master, like this one here. Wonderful painting from Velazquez. I don't know how good you can see. I have chosen full HD this time. Maybe you can see a few details. And if you look at this picture, yeah, well, it's tough to tell why exactly it is such a masterpiece, but you kind of get the impression, and maybe you want to do something of that sort. Well, what can mean to do something of that sort? Obviously, it can't mean that you go and make an exact one-to-one copy. Well, you can, but then it is not an inspiration, but like copying and nothing else. So what you really want to do is to capture something of it. You don't want so much like perform the same techniques. You don't want so much to do the same style. You just want to capture something of the spirit of a work, kind of. So if you really would paint it, we are not there. Maybe after the 10th lesson we could start with it. But if you want to really copy it, then you need to coat your canvas with black color instead as white color. This is the way back then paintings were done. Black coat and then putting the lights. We're not doing that. I want to kind of grab this impression by using my normal painting techniques, but capturing the sharp edges between light and dark space, and modeling these things but without coating it black. Maybe we will do this the next time. I don't know, let's see. And what will I paint? Well, I don't want to repeat the last 3 lessons with placing something on something, but the basic rough idea I want to paint is an Eve with an apple without an atom. Something of that sort. Why without an atom? It's faster, of course, but also if you are looking at the picture, you kind of could feel like atom. So we place something of the scene outside the canvas. Okay? So no more talking, just let's start. Okay, as always, I want to start with kind of lighter tones. And just let's start with the hair. You see, this time I skip the part where I sketch the things beforehand. I just start with the hair. And at the moment it's not so much about grasping the structure of the hair, but more like kind of coating. You'll see later what I mean. So when starting, I kind of won't uh, paint skin at all, but leave it as open space here. So maybe like this. As always, very light. You can make it darker later. And the good thing is, if you don't start with details, you are already getting into kind of a flow, which is always good. Okay, let's do a tiny bit of hints where the eyebrows are, which is not skin, right? Okay, maybe like this. And this is where we want to have the eyes, more or less. Okay, yeah, let's kind of, okay, telling you more or less where this is. Okay, this is the nose. And then everything very light, just to get an impression where things are. Okay, let's kind of place the apple here. And then she is kind of holding it in her hand, of course. And then we need the thumb like here. Then let's say we later like adjust, but for the first few strokes I think this is kind of all you need, and then it's, let's say, like this. Okay, so we have kind of placed the hand so that we don't get compliance issues, right? And now we can go darker. Yeah, now it's a bit tricky. How do we want to do it? Let's say do this like that. We place the shoulder like here. Then kind of get like this, I believe. Right? You agree? Oh, maybe you don't. Okay. So now let's go a bit darker in the hair, just to create the nice edges between the open space and the dark areas. Like this. Later we will do it even darker, but we're still like kind of coating, meaning we just kind of write down where it should be darker, where it should be brighter. Oh, I just noticed it's getting again pretty much like drawing, right? Because I'm not using colors. Well, this would change as soon as we start to really paint the apple, right? Okay, let's leave here a bit for the ear. Sorry for the bad light, but it was dark all the day. Okay, let's start with the apple. You basically got the impression how to start and proceed here, so you just make your dark spaces and then you create the contrast and the edges between dark and bright. And you can think of it as of a kind of a coating as well, because later you paint the skin on a bright surface and like the hair on a dark surface. Okay, an apple. For an apple we need kind of reddish, right? And here again we won't go into too much details, but we will think of it again of it as kind of a coating. So I mix a bit of red with a bit of brown and take again a lot of water so that we create this broken pinkish here. And what I will do is I will leave the reflections on the apple like unpainted. So actually we're kind of not painting what we're painting, right? Okay, let's give a bit more of a red. So that it looks more like an apple. Yeah, I like that. So maybe put a bit of red on the lips too. That's a bit too sharp. We are not painting a comic, so we will make it a bit softer, right? Okay, and later when we add more details and we really shape it three-dimensionally, then it's a different story. Okay, so let's like, yeah. Now I have to go a bit darker to grab the edges really. And sorry, this time the lesson will be longer, but well, you see already it's like more to paint. So let's do it like this. Okay, here we get a bit darker. I don't know if you can see. Here we can get a bit darker. Grab kind of the shadow and let's say like here. Yeah, that's nice. And now this looks just like splashes of colors, and we kind of blur it and leave only one sharp edge and make the rest soft, really soft. So like this, more or less. Yeah. So I like the rough impression already, and then because we're using black already, I'll like will give a few details to the mouth. So like this, like this. And then we have to smoothen it again, of course. So the lip got too dark, so I need some white. Just approach step by step to the impression you want to have. There's really no hurry to get it at the first shot. So like this. Yeah, this looks right. Okay. Then let's get even darker with dark grayish tones or even blackish. And what I'm doing here now is like to add white entirely softly so that the top edges disappear and it gets like more of a very, very soft shadow. So here's the part where we come really to painting instead of drawing, right? Okay. And now we just play with shadows and lights. start about thinking how like the background could look like, because actually I want to stress the background more than the details of the figure here, so I will keep that for a different lesson. So maybe we do the first step today or this time, and next time we complete this picture. But then let's go now to the background, and let's say Eve, so this is kind of an outdoor thing. Let's choose some greenish tones. But darker greenish tones, I think. So that we capture also a bit of the coating impression from the masterpiece inspiring us, right? Which is a great work of Velazquez. And yeah, you find it on the Wikipedia article, but you better should visit the Prado, or El Museo del Prado in Madrid. Wonderful museum. In my opinion, I like it better even than the Louvre, or Louvre, if you pronounce it the French way. But then that's just me. So what I'm trying also to create, maybe we should do a special lesson for that as well, is to create kind of a color perspective where the foreground is bright and the background is dark. Even though it is outdoor and in theory it should look the other way around, but it's easier, this is a perceptual thing, to recognize a brighter topic on a darker background than the other way around. So I'm doing this just to make perception easier. You don't have to, as with everything else, just do what you kind of think would be right. So if you disagree, go ahead, disagree with me, and do it your way. But I think you still can use the one or the other approach. It's like kind of inspirational source. And here again, think of it at this stage of the painting just as a coating where you can still add details. Later you don't even have to do this step, but I think for beginning it's not the worst way to approach. So just give it a shot if you want. if you want it brighter, then you just can make it brighter later. Or darker. You can paint things above it. There is really no limitation. Okay. So now we have kind of a coating. We have left the skin empty, more or less. We have a brownish coat for the hair. We have a greenish coat for the background. You know already how you can handle it later. And what I will do now is I want to add a few more shadows and lights, but keep it like that. So we will really complete this picture in the next lesson, and then we will see how to apply skin which looks a bit like what old masters did, and how to apply a certain exact color and value and such, and how you could really paint it after, like, preparing the ground with your different coatings, right? But to get a better impression into which direction we want to go, I just add a few shadows for you, so maybe then it's easier to get an idea into which direction we're going. Here, soft dark shadow. Like this. This. Fingers always are a bit tricky. So, yeah, this is okay. This. So you see, just with these few sharp shadows, it already gets a kind of a three-dimensional impression, and later if you add the mid-tone shadows, like, I'll show this here quickly, just like here at the shoulder, some lighter mid-tone shadow. You get even more the illusion of three dimensions, right? some sort. So you see now already, actually, if you paint like old masters, there are two types of shadows: dark shadows and light shadows. And both are like kind of important to create the impression, the painting of an old master. So let's do it really quick. Okay, this is pretty similar to what we did last time. But sure, it's the way I do these things. I actually really don't want to do too much of it, because then we have nothing less left for the next lesson. Although it's not only about shades. But yeah, I think you get the impression what we're doing, how to approach an old master, how to get inspired, and you see it's a bit about edges, composition, and next time we won't get so far that it will turn into a Velazquez, but we will go so far that you have a nice, let's say, kind of realistic picture, and to know how really to approach it. And then it depends on how much you exercise and on your skills, but this is something which develops over the time. Okay, thank you very much for your attention, and looking forward to the next lesson. Okay, see you then, bye.